learn, not what a teacher needs to or wants to teach. So, tonight is I am gonna cover that question, why you're irrelevant when the sale begins. But I'd also like to give you the opportunity of asking questions, and then I'll help you get those questions answered in terms of where you sit in terms of sales. So just if you can, by an acknowledgement in the chat group, one, can you just say yes if you can hear me okay? And it's all, and the audio is good. Great, thank you. Awesome. Excellent. And then the second question is, if you have not been in on one of my webinars before, or you've never been in one of my rooms, and this is your very first time to be with us, please just type in first time. So there we go, millionaire, first time, all the way in from Nairobi. Well done, welcome, welcome. It's great to have you on the call from Nairobi. Awesome. By any chance, millionaire, were you in the room for the sales explosion that I did there a couple of weeks ago in Nairobi? Oh, all right, very good. Well, great to have you here. So thank you there. And I've even got a very close friend of mine, Mike from Zim. So Mike, great to have you in from Zim. And I hope you're getting fit, because I'm ready to kick your butt when I come and play squash. Let's joke with us. But the rest of you, great to, really good to have you guys on this call. So, why are you irrelevant when sales starts? That's it's an interesting question. So what I see a lot of times in sales today is that too many people are getting stuck in their importance of themselves. And as technology is developing more, what I see is more and more people are focused on trying to be impressive. So I watch when people go into sales mode, and what they end up talking about is they end up talking all about themselves. How many of you have ever experienced dealing with someone and you actually just know that from the time you start the discussion, the only person that they're interested in is themselves and what they're gonna get out of the deal? How many of you can connect with that? What I want you to do is I just want you to type in, how does it make you feel? How does it make you feel when you know that the only important person is the person talking to you and not you? Warwick says turns them off. Delian says she's not interested. So T000, not interested. Barbara, I asked myself what the purpose of the interaction is. Yeah, anyone else? So those of you that have been in the Sales Explosion program, you would have seen me do this, and I'm gonna recap on this, because I think this is a critical component to being able to connect with other people. Stan says interested in the sale and not my problem. Exactly. So when it comes to selling, there's a couple of key steps. And they look something like this. It all starts with your ability to build rapport. So rapport is at the end of the day, I think it's the ability to be able to connect with other people, or essentially to find this thing. To find common ground. So when you are connecting with people, when you meet somebody for the first time, can you get focused to find common ground? So how do you find common ground? Well, the first step is this. And the first step is to get into their world first. So when I say get into their world, what do I mean? Now, those of you that don't like typing, if you would like to open up your mic and contribute, please, you're more than welcome to do that. So Barbara, it's about asking questions. So getting into their world is right up front. I always say this. You got to make it all about them and only about them. So when you start off the sales process, when you start off meeting anyone, when you meet anyone for the first time, how quick can you get into their world? How quick can you make it all about them? How quick can you understand who they are? What is it about them? What makes them tick? And as Barbara so rightly typed in, the key skill and the key tool is for you to be able to ask questions. Now, contrary to many people's thoughts, a lot of us think that we ask questions. Well, my experience in nearly 30 years of sales and probably over a decade of teaching salespeople, building salespeople, teaching entrepreneurs, just teaching communication in general to people. One of the hardest skills for people to learn and master is the skill of asking questions. Pretty simply, because you spent a long time at school. And the longer you spend at school, the more you're conditioned to answer questions. You know, let's face it. You go to school, how do you pass? You pass because the teacher tells you something. When you tell the teacher what the teacher told you, ultimately, that allows you to pass. So the better you learn how to tell, and the better you learn how to tell what you're told, the better you pass. You know, how many of you got rewarded for questioning the teacher? How many of you got rewarded for thinking outside the box and saying, well, you know, I think of it in a different way, and I think I'd be able to do this. And that is just the nature of the system. But the point here is that we get conditioned, continuously conditioned as we grow up to be able to answer questions. You know, the better you answer questions, the smarter you come across. The smarter you come across, often the more we think people like us. The smarter we come across, the cleverer we think people are, and so on. So that conditioning around telling just keeps growing and growing and growing. So step number one, in order to build rapport, you've got to be able to ask questions. You've got to be able to ask questions so that you get into their world straight up front. Okay. Now, take yourself back to your last sales presentation, your last sales pitch, your last experience with a salesman, if selling is not something you actively do all the time. How did that go? Did they come in and did they ask you a lot of questions about yourself? Other than maybe the sort of first few questions like, good morning, how are you? What can I help you with? Boom. And then very often what happens? Get stuck straight into telling, straight into pitching, straight into talking all about me. Now, if you understand human behavior and you understand that the way people are conditioned is to tell, by having the gift of asking questions, you open some massive doors in being able to connect with people. So, any comments? When I asked you to go back to your last experience in sales, to the last time maybe you did a presentation, I don't know, did you prepare a beautiful, elaborate, well thought out PowerPoint presentation where when the people or the person you were pitching to said, so what have you come here to pitch, or what have you come here to sell, or what have you come here to talk about? You went through this amazing presentation about, at the end of the day, telling everyone who you were, how good you were, how long you've been around. What was the response at the end? What was the connection? If you don't mind, just, okay, listened out for the client's needs. Mike, you've never, that's not something that you've done all your life, has it? So, anyone else? What about your experience with another salesman, with somebody else who went out there and sold to you? What happened? Barbara says on a phone call, ask questions about what they had for their shoot. Is that something that you spent your life doing, Barbara? Millionaire, the temptation is just to start talking about what you want. Yeah, so what you went there to say. So how many of you get into that is that you have a short window of opportunity, and the people or the person that you're speaking to says, what have you come here to speak about? And what you find yourself doing is vomiting all over them about who you are, how good you are, and what it can create. Yes, Gloria, listen to what the client requires, and this helps me to analyze if my product offers their need. Very good. Rion, product presentation. Now, Rion, when you did that product presentation, did you tell them a lot of information, and was it a lot of telling, or was it a lot of asking? Warwick, just yesterday I went to listen to a prospect, but ended up doing all the talking. Interesting. Julian, take focus to go back to asking, telling. So how many of you realize just going through that our immediate instant response when we ask a question is to tell? We sit down with someone and someone asks a question and our mouth opens and we start speaking. And all too often we start speaking about who? We start speaking about ourselves. So that's one of the reasons why I say sales is a learned skill, because learning how to ask questions is a learned skill. So Martin says, I think my product is amazing and I'm guilty of telling them all about my product rather than asking about their needs. Yeah. So Martin, the exciting part is that when you connect with people in the right way, they will give you the opportunity to talk as much as you need to talk. The key difference is when you do talk and they've given you the opportunity to talk, really authentically giving you the opportunity to talk, you'll have them listening. So step number one, get into their world first, ask questions. It's not about you, it's all about them. Step number two, you've got to make sure that when you're connecting with people, you are truly interested, not interesting. So ask yourself this, am I trying to be interesting or am I truly interested? Because interesting is all about who? Yeah, you probably answered it. All about me. When I am being interesting, Marlon said, can you guys see my screen okay? Okay, good. You can see what I'm writing on the screen. Common ground, interested, rapport, getting into their world. You see that all good? Great. Okay, brilliant. So So when you go into a conversation, ask yourself the question, am I trying to be interesting or am I trying to be interested? Next step, along the grounds of interested and interesting, is this. You need to be impressed, not impressive. So same thing, when you're being impressive, you're talking about yourself. When you're being impressed, you're talking about them. So find something to be impressed about. Okay, find something to be interested about. When you do that, what you will do is you'll find common ground. When you find common ground, you have grounds for a relationship. So we just recap this quickly. In order to build rapport is the fundamental piece that you need to create in order to find common ground, in order to find grounds for a relationship. In order to be able to do that, you've got to get into their world first, not your world. Get into their world first. How do you do that? You ask questions, and you ask questions all about them, not about you. So you've got to ask questions. When you're asking the questions, you have to be interested, truly, honestly, authentically interested, and you've got to be impressed. Not interesting and not impressive. Does that make sense? Any questions or comments on that? Yeah. So Warwick, it requires discipline. What I'd also suggest it requires practice. So, one of the most under-practiced professions in the world is sales. I'll say that again. One of the most under-practiced professions in the world is sales. So I'll ask you guys this. If you were going to the Olympics, would you be training for the Olympic Games as much as you're practicing your ability to close deals and put money on the table? And if you were practicing as much as you were practicing in sales, what type of medal would you get? Would you be setting yourself up for a gold medal? Or would you be lucky to get on the bus from here to the airport? My observation with most people, exactly what Rion said, lucky to get on the bus. So I ask this, is your business or your career or your life, what you're doing, is that not your Olympic Games? Is that not the gold medal, wanting to close another deal, wanting to connect with people in a different way, wanting to be able to build relationships, wanting to be able to, raise capital? That's all about selling. If that is your Olympic race, is practice not a key thing that you need to adopt? So getting into people's worlds is all about practice. So there's a couple of tools and tips I can give you. One, learn how to ask questions. So we have a little game that we teach people. It's called the question game. Pretty simply, you find a partner, and all you do is you ask a question and answer it with a question. And what that does is it helps you recondition your brain to ask questions. Okay. Another little exercise that you can do is sit down and write that you could ask a prospect, okay, that you could ask a customer. Now, this tool's pretty fun. I've just taught this to a group of people in the network marketing industry around just connecting with people. So what you can do is go out and meet 5 strangers. I challenge you to do that this week. It's irrelevant whether they're part of your business or not. But the rule is you're not allowed to speak about yourself other than introducing yourself with your name until you've asked 5 questions to identify 5 different things about that stranger. Now, when I put that in the space, how many of you have a little voice? How many of you have a little voice that comes up that says whatever it's saying right now that's starting to make you a little bit uncomfortable? How can I just walk up to someone and start asking them questions? Just, if that little voice comes up, just imagining going out to find 5 strangers somewhere in the street, somewhere in the supermarket, I don't know, somewhere on the plane, the train. And the only thing you can do is ask them questions. The first 5 questions to find 5 things about them. How many of you think, Timothy says, the voice was loud and clear? See, how many of you realize that's a little bit easier than it is to go out and get in somebody else's world and ask them questions? When you get good at connecting with people, when you get good at building rapport, when you get good at being authentically in their world, I guarantee you, it'll dramatically change the way you connect with people. You know, it was interesting. I went to a meeting with one of my business partners yesterday, and often what I'll do, or what we do is, you know, I very rarely work on PowerPoints. All my events and all my teaching and training is done on flip charts. So very often what we'll do is we'll take a flip chart and some pens into a meeting. So she said to me, should I bring the flip chart? And I was like, no. It was the first time, never met anybody. And we must have been in that meeting for about half an hour. And the only thing that I did for half an hour pretty much was I just sat and asked questions. And what I learned about the people was pretty amazing. So they then gave me the opportunity and asked me some questions to talk about what we did. But I have this mindset that it's great. I want to talk. I'm happy to talk a little bit about myself, but I want to get back into their world as quick as possible, because I know that the more I spend in people's worlds, the more I uncover about who they are, the more I uncover about who they are, and I'm truly authentically interested and impressed about what they're doing, the more I can build a relationship with them, the better the opportunity I have of uncovering whether or not the solution I have will fit the problem that they may have. So I go back to the question that we asked in this webinar: why you are irrelevant. Because right at the front of any conversation, the relevance is on the other person. The only person that is relevant. And if you can condition this in your mind, if you can make this a habit when talking to somebody else, and even if you've got to consciously, quietly in your mind, say it over and over to yourself. You know, when I first started learning how to sell, I had to say to that little voice, shut up, listen, ask them a question, and wait and listen. Don't wait to speak. You know, I'm sure some of you have heard that before. How many people are sitting waiting to speak when they should actually be sitting and waiting to listen? You know, I laugh when I look around certain groups, and what I'll see is someone, you know, you'll see a group of people having a discussion, and you can always see somebody that can't wait to speak. You know, I say they're in sort of guppy mode. And you see them, and as soon as they get an opportunity, man, they come in and they start speaking. And very often what they're saying has nothing to do with where the conversation's gone to, but they've been holding on to it for so long, they just had to get it out. How many of you know people like that? How many of you know people like that intimately pretty well, sitting in the same chair as you right now? So can you teach yourself? Can you teach yourself that the most important person is the other person? And this is it's not only in business. You know, I had to teach myself that in my marriage. You know, I'm pretty sure none of you guys do this, but you know, my wife will have a problem and she'll come and sit down, and the key thing that I want to do is I'm ready to help and give a response and a result. And I've had to teach myself, and over a number of years, teach that little voice, shut up and just listen to it. She's not interested in you speaking. If she wants advice, she'll ask for it. Just sit and listen. Be absolutely present and listen. And, that has dramatically changed the way I communicate with my wife. But I had to be very conscious. It's a conscious decision to sit and listen. So you've got to practice this. Practice asking questions. Practice being present. Practice shutting off the little voice. Practice being irrelevant until you get the opportunity and the time to be relevant. Because when you truly connect in somebody else's world, when you truly ask them questions, eventually they will turn around to you. They will turn around to you and say, so tell me about you. So tell me about what do you do? So tell me about your business. So how can you help us? And when they do that, this is what I'm pretty sure of. 99.9% of the time, they are now interested. They are now listening. And you have them. You have them and their interest and their attention. And when you have that, that's when you can really build a relationship. That's when you can talk a little bit about yourself. But I'll ask you this. How many of you like hanging around with people that just talk about themselves? Anyone on this call like that? How many of you find it amusing for a period of time? But after a while, it's like, I just wish this guy would shut up. And it's annoying. So how many of you don't want other people thinking that of you? So Millionaire says, I wonder, wouldn't some people feel like you're prying too much on their affairs? How much is too much? So Millionaire, I'm going to put up this word. If you are authentic, if you are truly, honestly authentic, very rarely will someone feel as though you're prying into their affairs. When you are asking questions about them based on the answers that they give you, okay, now that's important. Based on the answers that they give you, not if you're going to ask them questions with a hidden agenda. Okay, so there's a difference between interrogating someone based on an agenda that you have and truly, honestly asking questions based on what they have to say, based on the response they get. If you do that, you'll be amazed at how much people are prepared to tell you. Look, how many of you have ever sat with a really great communicator and they've asked you a couple of questions? You might have even sat with that communicator or with that person and you didn't have a lot of time. And suddenly you look down at your watch and you've been talking for half an hour and the only person you've been talking about is you. And they just sat, they nod, they listen, you give a response, they ask another question. But you can truly feel that they're listening, they're interested in you. And after that period of time, you go, wow, did I actually tell them what I told them? So be authentic, be interested in them. Don't have a hidden agenda. Too many people say to me, well, so how am I going to structure this? What should I say next? What should you say next after what? Well, when I pitch them and I ask the question, what should I say next? Well, how do you know what to say next? Because what you're going to say next is what comes out of what comes from them. So I could ask, so how do you find my price? It's too expensive. It's okay, but I don't like the quality. The price doesn't really matter, but my brother-in-law's in this business. You could get countless objections that are going to come from exactly the same question. Now, if you're geared just to say the one thing on your agenda, you'll miss out on being able to really, for example, uncover that objection. So, in the area of coaching and mentoring, This is a key skill. Can you sit and just ask people questions to get them to come up with the answers? Too many people tell, especially in the, I suppose, in the coaching and the mentoring, because they have a huge amount of information, and the more they tell and the more advice they can give, the more powerful they look, or the cleverer they look. And the real skill is getting somebody to uncover the answer themselves without you having to tell them. And that's the skill in sales. So Abdullah says, what's the line between listening and not adding value to them? Well, sometimes people talk, Abdullah. It depends on what adding value is. How many of you have had huge value added just because someone wanted to sit down and listen? So value add, it depends on value. Again, it depends on what's your agenda or lack of agenda. It depends on, is it value that you think you're adding, or is it value that they want to get? So in the meeting that I was with my business partner yesterday, I think by the time we left there, we had got a lot of value. We had given the client a lot of value. I'd asked a lot of questions. We'd done a bit of teaching without intentionally teaching, and we'd found out a huge amount about it. The most important thing that we had built rapport. That by the time we walked out, the person that we went to visit had given us 2 or 3 names of key people in the organization who she thought that we would benefit in speaking to. We didn't ask for that, but we just connected in that environment. So when you go into the sales call, when you connect with other people, just remember this: it's all about them, not about you. To the extent that to start off with, you're irrelevant. Be authentic. Be honest, true. How many times have you seen people walk into a sales meeting, or walk into a presentation, and they'll get up and they'll get introduced, and somebody introduced them and says, hey, I don't know, I'll just pick someone up. Yeah, Warwick. Hey guys, this is Warwick from ABC, and Warwick's come to talk to us about how his business can do this, and this for us. Boom. Warwick, over to you. And then Warwick gets up and, proceeds to do this beautiful PowerPoint presentation, 30 minutes, vomits all over everybody about tons of information, gets to the end, and people around the table go, wow, that was really cool. Thanks very much. We'll get back to you. Wow, that was really cool. Thanks very much. We'll discuss it in our next meeting. Wow, that's cool. Whatever it is. How many of you are still waiting for the next meeting? How many of you are waiting for them to get back to you? How many of you are waiting for them to answer your email or your proposal? How many of you think that maybe 12 months has gone by and they probably already had that meeting a few times? A lot of times because we just didn't connect with them. We just talked about ourselves. So when you walk in, I have a very simple technique. I'll walk into a presentation and someone will say to me, so what have you come here to sell? Pretty simple. I go, hey, thanks for asking. By way of introduction, my name is Barry Mitchell. I have a business called Uncovering Greatness. For over 25 years, I've helped thousands of people around the world dramatically increase their income anywhere from 20% to as much as 300%. And then I'll go into a question. I'll go, how many people do you have? How many sales reps do you got? If you don't mind me asking, how are you guys finding the market at the moment? If you don't mind me asking it, and I'll go into a question immediately to get into their world. And what will happen is they'll answer. And out of that, I'll ask another question. And suddenly what's happened is we've gone 15, 20 minutes down the line, and they've told me tons about their business. And they told me tons about their business, and it allows me to uncover the key thing that I'm looking for. And it's this. It allows me to uncover a problem. And if the problem exists, then I have the ability to connect my solution to it and get on the road to selling. If a problem doesn't exist, it's going to be very hard for me to make a sale. So get in their world, make it about them, ask them questions right from the beginning. You're irrelevant. And sometimes people take offense with me when I say that. I go, look, you're irrelevant in the beginning of the sales call. And they go, no, I'm not. I go, well, that's fine. In my experience, what I've viewed and in the 27 years that I've been in sales, the more I've learned how to connect in other people's worlds, the better I've been able to sell. The more I've been able to give them what they need and not get stuck on the agenda that I have. So any questions that I can answer around this piece on why you're irrelevant? How many of you would tend to think maybe what I'm talking about makes sense? Cool, thank you. So any questions or comments on this before I open it up to just, if you want, I don't know, like 702 open line. No, yeah, just before I open it up to a couple of questions that I might be able to help you with. Excellent, Warwick. So how do you steer the conversation? Brilliant, Warwick. Have you got a mic? Can you would you mind role playing with me? Can you open the mic? If you can, that'll be cool. Are you open, Warwick? Let me have a look here. Where's Warwick? Warwick. Okay, if Warwick's not there, anyone else? Oh, there's Warwick. Are you open, Warwick? Let's have a look. No, it doesn't look like your mic's working. Okay, is there anyone else that'd like to do a little role play with me, and I can answer Warwick's question maybe more by a demonstration. Okay, good. Abdullah. Oh, okay, Warwick. No, I for whatever reason I can't hear you. So Abdullah, do you want to open up your mic?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah, good. I can hear you. So how are you doing?
I'm fine.
Excellent. Abdullah, you're from Nairobi, yeah?
Yes, I'm in Nairobi, Kenya.
Oh, brilliant. How long you lived there?
Well, I've been here for over 8 years now.
8 years in Nairobi, and where did you come from?
Town called Kisumu, still in Kenya.
Oh, okay, good. Kisumu.
Yes.
Have you ever been to Johannesburg?
No, not yet.
Okay. Do you have any plans of going to Johannesburg?
Come again?
Do you have any plans of coming to Johannesburg?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to one day to come down there.
Okay, good. So have you ever been to the sea?
Yes.
Whereabouts? Mombasa side?
Yes, Mombasa side, that's correct.
Okay, good. Are there some good hotels in Mombasa?
Yeah, the hotels are pretty good. It's a tourist destination.
Very good. Is it safe there now?
Very much safe.
Very good.
All the travel bans have been lifted.
Excellent. So, Abdullah, what's your business?
Well, I'm in transport business.
Okay, what type of transport? Road transport, air transport, shipping?
Road transport.
Road transport.
Yes.
Heavy duty, small stuff?
Heavy duty, containerized cargo.
Excellent.
From Port of Mombasa to East and Central Africa.
Okay, so you do East and Central Africa?
Yes.
Very good. Do you travel a lot into those countries?
Not really.
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Okay, good. And do you have a family?
Yes, I do have family.
Children?
One.
Oh, excellent. Boy or girl?
A young girl.
Oh, okay, cool, cool. Excellent. So I have two daughters. Mine aren't that, well, I suppose they're still young, 14 and 18, but that's why I don't have any hair, I think. So I can't see you, and I can't remember. I know that we met in Kenya a number of times, and as far as I remember, you still have hair, but it's going to go soon. Don't worry. Yes.
I can't hear you clearly.
So I said that's why I don't have any hair because I have two daughters as well.
Ah, nice.
Excellent, Abdullah. Thank you for role playing. So Warwick, let me ask you this: Did I take the conversation to different places? You want to type in? Well, Warwick, yeah. Yeah. So I started off chatting, ended up knowing about his business. But your question was how you steer the conversation. So can you see how I could have gone off on hotels. Maybe I want to go to Nairobi, in Mombasa on my next trip when I go up there in a couple of months' time to Nairobi. I could have gone down. What are the good hotels? Do you know anyone there? Could you? So can you see how moving people to excellent, Mike. Great having you on the call. We'll chat to you soon, buddy. Okay, good. Millionaire. You notice how I mirrored his answers. Yeah. So that actually is a technique that we call verification. So verification really is to a very small degree mirroring his answers, repeating what he said. So like you said, I have a daughter. Great, you have a daughter. I have two daughters. So you've been in Nairobi for 8 years. I'd say 8 years. Okay, good. Where did you go before that 8 years? So what that does is it does two key things. Anyone tell me? Anyone like to put up what are the two key things that verification does? Okay, good, Barbara. First thing is subconsciously it's showing the person that you're listening. Okay, subconsciously they sit there and their mind is going, this person is listening to me. Now, importantly, subconsciously, they don't even know it consciously. Okay, and Yolandi says confirming what they've said. Yes, and why is it important to confirm what they've said? Okay, good. It makes him aware that you're listening. Why is it important to confirm what they've said? Okay, good. Helps you remember. How many of you know that you heard what you heard because that's what you heard? And you know what you heard because that's what they said. And when you tell them what they said that that's not what I said because I know what I said because I said it. What I said is not what you heard, and you didn't hear what I said because you get the point? You just verify. It's a little tool. Again, it comes down to practice. You verify. When you verify, you find common ground. When you find common ground, subconsciously, you start building that relationship. When you start building the relationship pretty quickly, when you truly get in their world, you will go from irrelevance to relevance. And when they think you're relevant, that's when you can connect, and that's when you can make some sales. So, any other questions I can answer before we wrap up this evening? No, Timothy. So let me just explain that. That is an exercise. It's just an exercise to teach you to go and meet people and ask 5 questions. One of the things that it does, it teaches us how to get over the little voice of being able to meet strangers. 2, it teaches us how to get in their world. So, you go meet someone, at a minimum, you want to learn how to ask 5 questions. For some of them, you're going to get some interesting responses. as you start learning how to do this, you'll have people that'll say, well, who the heck are you? Or, well, why are you asking me those questions? And it's a great learning ground. You step away, you go, what did I learn? What can I do better next time? And you go ask another question. So any questions before I finish off? So folks, guys, I want to thank you for being on this call. Did you guys get value from this evening? Yeah, Warwick, 5 questions are great for practice for networking events. Just go meet someone and ask them a question. And they'll ask you a question. You go, yeah, that's great. Thank you. Boom, answer, go back, give them another question. And you'll learn a whole pile from other people. So those of you in the next couple of weeks, I have a couple of free events coming up, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask Marlon or Maury just to put the link in here. I'd love to have you come and join me on the Uncovering Greatness team. We have a number of free events coming up around sales, and some of you have been in that event. I'm going to encourage you come back again, and it'll give you an introduction to how we teach, how I teach, and an introduction into an event that I'm doing in October that I do 3 times a year called Sales and Leadership Mastery. So I'm just going to ask Marlon. Marlon or Maury, either one of them will just post the links for the booking for. There we go. Thank you, Maury. Next Sales and Leadership Mastery preview, Friday the 29th. So this Friday from 9 until 12:30 at the Nickel Hotel in Bedford View. Come along, grab a cup of coffee, come and join me and the team for a couple of hours, and I'll take you through some key tools and share key tools and techniques around sales, communication, leadership, and mindset. And then the next one is on the 6th of July, and so Martin, these recordings will get sent to you if you registered for last week. You should have been sent the link. If not, if the team, Martin, if you can get the link to Martin, that would be really cool. But if you're on this call, you'll be able to get the link, and you should be able to download it and listen to it again. And if you missed last week, so come and join us at the Sales and Leadership Mastery preview. If you are interested in learning more about my 2.5-day Sales and Leadership Mastery program, please just type in SLMP into the chat box, and either myself or the team will get a hold of you and just connect with you on that. And those of you that are interested in a program that we run called Awaken Your Financial Genius, I have another webinar starting in about 25 minutes time. You might be interested in that. It's a program that I've been working on with Robert Kiyosaki for the last 18 months to 2 years, and if you'd like to jump in on that, you can use the same link code that you did on this one, and you may be interested on Saturday the 7th of July. We have a program called Play the Money Game, which is a 3-hour introduction to how to awaken your financial genius, how to become financially free in the mindset of Robert Kiyosaki and the Rich Dad Advisors. And I'll ask some of you this: how many of you wouldn't mind getting in a room with Robert Kiyosaki and Tom Wheelwright, who is Robert's key tax advisor, an exclusive room of probably no more than maybe 70 people for about 6 hours in the next couple of weeks? How many of you would be interested in? How many of you would be interested in that? So excellent. So if you are interested in that, Robert's coming out in August to do an event with Success Resources, which is a 2-day event. And I have an amazing opportunity through the work that I do with him and Rich Dad and Blair Singer to be able to have Robert for a day with me and through the program that we run called Awaken Your Financial Genius. So if you're really interested in learning more about that, just type AYFG into the chat group, or preferably book for Play the Money Game and come and join us on the 7th of July from 9 until 2 for about 3.5 to 4 hours. And I'll share with you what Play the Money Game is, what Awaken Your Financial Genius is, and what you'd need to do in order to be able to get into that room of 60 to 70 people with Robert Kiyosaki. So, guys, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Thank you for Marlon for setting this up and hosting this as always. Thank you for Maralise for being so well organized with all the information that's needed. And just one last time, any other questions I can answer before we finish off. And again, we'll be back here next week, so same time. And look, what I'd also encourage you is I'll put it in here if you like. In fact, Marlon, if you don't mind, can I use your email address? Is that okay with you? If you have anything that you would like me to go through, like me to answer, like me to teach on one of these webinars, anything around sales, anything around entrepreneurship that you think would add value, why don't you just pop Marlon an email and go, hey, I'd love to learn something about this, or what are Barry's thoughts on this? And we can bring it up in one of the webinars coming up. So there we go. So from Marlon at uncoveringgreatness.co.za. So thanks, everybody. Have an awesome evening. Be blessed. Travel safe wherever you are going tonight, tomorrow. Have a great week. Make lots of money for yourself and for everybody else that you are with. So thanks very much. Chat to you soon. Bye.